to do some work on Jenkins. Okay, so Jenkins installation, everything is pretty straightforward. But as long as you put your hands on, if you don't put your hands on, like it will be just going out of your mind very easily. So yeah, so if you just put your just try it out from your side, then that will be very helpful actually. So last session, if you remember, I introduced a plugin called Blue Ocean. So I just wanted to show that thing for now, so that few people will be aware. It is very famous plugin actually. Few people will be aware of that particular plugin also. Okay, so just few minutes before itself, I started some Jenkins instance. Hopefully, yeah, it is running now. Uh, AWS instance is running. So I will quickly cover few more topics of Jenkins. So like it is like if you go on talking about one Jenkins, the entire course we can cover. We can go on talking about the same Jenkins itself. So we have to restrict to some extent. So I am trying to restrict myself, but I thought that let me introduce some. More, it is very useful plugin, so I just wanted to introduce that also. So I personally installed uh, in my account also. So I can show you my account now. Where is my account? So I can just show you in my account, and you can see the difference between uh, normal classic view of Jenkins and Blue Ocean specific view of Jenkins. I will just show you that. So let me install parallelly in my Jenkins. So here I have to install. I will install Jenkins here once again. Okay, it got hanged. It uh, has very limited timeout. Okay, so I will parallel try to show you multiple things. Like already installed Jenkins, I have already. I will try to show that. I'll try to show that. Okay. Uh, so that how do you show that? I have bookmarked it. I think I have it in my a lot of bookmarks. So I will go to my Jenkins dashboard. Okay. Uh, I think it's frequently used. Okay. So I'm just showing the blue ocean thing. Okay. So here in the top left button, you see this button, right? Open blue ocean. So if you click on this open blue ocean, the everything UI changes. You got it, right? So this comes when you actually install a plugin called Blue Ocean. So you can just go and in Manage Jenkins, you can go and install Blue Ocean. Then you'll see this new UI. So here I have few pipelines, right? So you can see how the pipeline looks, right? You can just click on this pipeline. Now this is the new UI. Like it is well formatted. You can see like the number of jobs run here, like for every commit one job is run. You can see that in that row. When you click on that particular job, you can actually see a timeline. You can actually see a timeline which has like different phases of different stages of the pipeline. You can see it in a form of a UI timeline pattern. So, and the logs are pretty much uh, arranged in such a way that for every stage, what are the specific logs you can see that, like if for the deploy, you can see, then these logs that you actually open here are specific to only this deploy only, and specific to build. If you want to see, you have to click on building. Then you'll see that these are all the logs specific to build stage. So this is what they have very innovative way of showing the uh, output of a particular Jenkins build. Okay, so this is about the Blue Ocean plugin once you install. So it has a pipeline. It has, if you have a test for your tests for your particular job, you can go on the test. There are no tests. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Let me share again. Actually, I was sharing, then later I stopped sharing. One second. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Welcome back, guys. Shankar, Sonalika, Prerna. Welcome back. Okay, and Shankaram. Welcome back. So I was talking about uh, I was talking about a pipeline. Sorry, a plugin called Blue Ocean last in the last session. I thought of showing you that particular pipeline. So this is let me make sure that I'm recording stuff. Am I really recording? How do you see the recording? Actually, I stopped recording. One second. Let me make sure that I'm recording also. Hmm. Okay, okay. Let me start record. I have started recording now, and I am sharing the screen now once again. Okay, so let me start. So this particular plugin called Blue Ocean. So I have installed a Blue Ocean plugin in my Jenkins account. This is my Jenkins dashboard. You can see this is the classic view, right? So this is the classic view. You can see the number of jobs, the pipeline jobs individually here. Uh, so this is the theme of this is classical theme. If you want to see a particular job related related build related outputs and or different jobs that are run for a particular pipeline, you have to go to that particular job. This is how the UI actually looks like in the classic view of Jenkins. And here you, if you want to see one particular build, you have to go to the build here in the bottom left. You have to click on that particular build. Then you have to go to the console output to see the build specific logs. So this is what the build specific logs is that it's all like the entire logs are cluttered in one page only. They are mixed in one particular page. So these are all the logs like you can see at one go itself. So this is a typical classic view of Jenkins build, right? Instead, if you install uh, Blue Ocean Jenkins, this is how the job looks like. So here you can see the job console output is well formatted. So it's the UI is UI very friendly. You can easily bifurcate different things. So you can actually when you click on deploy, you will see only deploy related logs. These are the deploy related logs. It says start deploying of app server, and then the deploy related commands and the logs related to the deploy and deployment success. So this is the new UI. This Blue Ocean plugin. If you install the Blue Ocean plugin, okay, okay. So let me connect using sudo. So I'm trying to install Jenkins once again. Okay, let me connect. So I'm connected. Okay. If you are trying in your home in CentOS 8, so probably this is what command we have to execute for sure, because there is some problem with CentOS 8 with respect to the repository mirror lists are not defaultly arranged. So I have to install that. Okay, so this is the this is the Blue Ocean plugin. It's a Blue Ocean new theme, new view that you can actually see. You can try it out. It's very friendly. So here, this is a button in the right. You can see that, right? So this is actually to rerun. If you want to run, if you are in a job 52 and you want to run the job again, then you can click on this particular button. Then it will actually rerun the job. Okay, and if you want to go back to the old view, then this is what the button is. Like here in the button in the rightmost, you can say go to classic. So if you click on this particular button, you come back to the world view. So in the dashboard, you can see the world view of classic view of Jenkins. So we can actually switch toggle uh, from normal classic view to blue ocean view. So here in the blue ocean view, you will have this particular button, open blue ocean. Once you click on this, you will get back to the uh, blue ocean view. You can see the difference, right? So this is like the dashboard that you see. These are the three pipeline jobs you can see using the blue ocean view. In the classic view, you can see in this way. This is the classic view that you can see. So that's what I just wanted to show you. And in the previous session, we were actually stuck in the Jenkins build was not we were not able to hook up with GitHub, right? So that actually happens. I'll show you that why that happened. Because at least for the first time, we had to successfully build the Jenkins jobs manually. From the next time, it will automatically pick up from the GitHub. For every push, it happens automatically. So that's I just wanted to show you that also. So probably I'll quickly install Jenkins and all um, related Jenkins and try to create a pipeline and show you that. So let me go through that steps once again. So let me go to Jenkins course. So I think for now we installed Jenkins three times in the session, almost like three times. Three from since three sessions we are actually discussing about like Jenkins. So for it we are actually starting from scratch. So now also again I'm trying to install the same Jenkins once again, so that you can feel that Jenkins installation is pretty straightforward. You can install it very easily. So let this happen. Let this Jenkins installation happen. Now, after Jenkins installation happen, I'll quickly show you a running Jenkins and the integration with GitHub that will make you comfortable, like how it is easy to actually install, integrate GitHub with the Jenkins. So after that, we will move to Ansible today. Yeah, so Jenkins installation happened. So let me start the Jenkins service. So Jenkins service will be started and you get the URL. Jenkins URL, you can actually get it from the public IP address. This is public IP address. You can just go to the public IP address 8080 and you should be good. Let the Jenkins start. So I hope you all guys have actually at least installed Jenkins in your machine. Um, So if you have installed in a machine, you can just go to the port 8080 and play with it. Okay. Okay, so we have Jenkins. We all know that why Jenkins we are using. Why are we using Jenkins? So basically, it is used for performing CI/CD pipeline of your GitHub repositories, right? So all your code, whichever you have in GitHub repository, you can perform build on that particular repository, try to uh, run the test, so which is called continuous integration, and then you can actually do a deploy into a different machine. So we performs complete end-to-end CI/CD pipeline using the Jenkins plugin, right? So, so I have also introduced in the past sessions, if you remember. So systemctl, I have introduced systemctl commands. So we have systemctl start, systemctl enable. Systemctl start will actually the start the service, Jenkins service. Systemctl enable will actually will actually uh, make sure that whenever you restart your machine, it also starts automatically. So whenever your system boots up, it actually starts this particular system automatically instead of you explicitly saying the service to start. So by default, whenever the system shutdowns and when it starts boots up, the services will start again. So that is why we actually execute enable. Now we have our Jenkins is running. Now we have to expose the port, right? So we know Jenkins port runs under port number 8080. So you have to go and actually explicitly enable the inbounds of the Jenkins server, enable inbounds and add 8080 in 8080 port in the security groups. So once you save this particular inbound rule, you should be able to access the Jenkins server. Our Jenkins server, whenever you actually start for the first time, it will ask for the admin password, right? So you will see that. So it will ask for administration password. So it will also say the administration password is there here. So you have to go to that particular file. So I think CentOS doesn't have VIM, it has VI. So open that particular file and you have the secret password already built. You need to use that particular password. So yeah, so it asks for installing some predefined plugins. So for some recommended plugins, it asks to actually install. Now you are installing all the recommended plugins. You can say Git plugin is a predefined recommended plugin. Similarly, pipeline, LDAP, email extension, SSH build, and Gradle, pipeline stage view, credential bindings. These are all defaultly recommended plugins. After over it, we can actually install many other plugins. Okay. So now we are after we are installed these plugins, we are good to go. Jenkins will actually ask for a initial user using which you can actually log into the Jenkins dashboard. So this we have done in the previous session also, just to uh, for the sake of um, more um, keeping in keeping the steps, registering ourselves in memory. I'm actually follow doing the steps again and again so that it may it may be uh, easy for you to for next time to recollect the steps of installing Jenkins, right? Now we have Jenkins plugin. Well, let's the Jenkins plugin go on. So after this, we will be installing the Blue Ocean plugin, and we will create a small pipeline. Just we as we have did in the last session, we will do the same steps so that we can easily recollect. We are comfortable with all the steps, basic steps of Jenkins. Okay, so let's do that step by step. So let this Jenkins build happen parallelly. So let's see what we have covered till now. Um, so we have covered almost everything in the slide as per the slides. Um, so 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 we'll not go through. So we'll not go through these steps. We have already discussed role-based authentication. I think we are pretty much comfortable with RBSC and pipelines. How to create a pipelines we already gone through. We will go through again. We'll just create a sample pipeline for now. We know that how to create a pipeline, and so that uh, by seeing those steps again, we can actually be comfortable saying that creating pipeline is pretty much straightforward. It is not a alien thing. It's a pretty straightforward thing, and it is way normal steps, basic steps, fundamental steps in Jenkins pipeline. Okay. So we have gone through this. I recommend you to go through these slides and go through the video. They are pretty much, very much matured, and they will. If you don't understand, you can actually iterate through the videos once again and again, and just follow the steps. You will become Jenkins experts. Okay. So most of the things are covered here. Okay. So we had last step, you remember, like I'm again trying to recollect master slave configuration. I think you are comfortable with, right? So I hope you all have actually gone through these and try to create on your own uh, at least once, right? So if you are okay, we can actually spend some time now also to parallelly. If you don't have time out of the after the session, if you don't have time to do that, uh, so if you recommend me to actually parallelly everybody follow the steps in your laptop, you try to do the same steps, then I think that will also be very good if you follow the steps, because if you put your hands on, then only you will actually remember all the steps. And I think that is the best way, like so you try out of your own, and if you are stuck in some places, right, then I would actually try to debug along with you and try to make it working. So that way actually you will be really learning things. I think that will be good. So uh, I'll highly encourage everybody to actually parallelly run all the steps that I'm doing, and try to see that you are actually able to follow the instructions parallelly, right? Just let me know if you are stuck in somewhere. I hope that everybody is doing parallelly. So creating a AWS account is pretty straightforward, and it doesn't incur cost as long as you actually immediately delete the EC2 instance, then it doesn't cost you much actually. So every whatever steps I am doing, right? So those steps you can also do parallelly. So I would actually say you to just create EC2 instance, follow these steps one by one, and you should also be able to do that. So let me know if you are doing the steps, and if you're stuck on anything, just let me know. I will also work with you. Now, now that our Jenkins dashboard is still under process, so it will take some more time. So let the Jenkins dashboard get ready. Okay. So here, just wanted to mention, like we have what we have covered and what we haven't. We have covered completely, right? So we have covered end to end. This all those things we have actually covered. But what we haven't covered, I will try to explain you that. I already have a personal Jenkins. I will actually try to cover that actually. So typically, what is a Jenkins pipeline? What does the scripted pipeline actually mean? How does it actually look? So we have already gone through this pipeline. I will actually go through the syntax once again. So probably I will actually open one particular Jenkins pipeline example, which basically is there. Maybe I'll show you. Okay, let me show you the repository of the repository itself here. I'll open in that browser. I think it's in incognito mode. Let me open it here. Mm, okay. Mhm. So a typical Jenkins pipeline project is looks like this. Okay, so it's every Jenkins pipeline script starts with this word pipeline. Pipeline keyword is the initial script, initial word that is the starting word for any kind of Jenkins pipeline script. So followed by list of sequence of instructions. So in this one of first instruction is agent any. So what does that mean? What does that mean actually? Agent any. So agent any means like we already have discussed about master slave configuration if you remember, right? So a typical Jenkins dashboard will have at least one master and multiple agents. So these agent means like the slave. So in master slave, slaves are agents, right? So even master is also agent. So by this configuration, what does that actually mean? Like so these scripts that we are trying to execute can be executed in any agent, whatever agent is available. That's what we are saying. So run this particular script in any agent. So that is what this instruction actually means. Run so or you can actually give that particular agent specific agent name. So if you want to run in particular slave only, then you can actually mention that particular agent name here. So that is what agent any means. And after this, there are a sequence of stages. Okay, so STAGES. So there are a sequence of stages, and each and every stages is nothing but an array of stage. So you can add as many stages as possible under this stages block. So you have this stages block, and then followed by multiple stages. So each stage will be of this syntax. You can clearly see that, right? Stage build, stage test, and stage deploy, stage release. So we have four stages here under the stages. Okay, so this is how a typical pipeline, Jenkins pipeline looks like. So inside these stages, you can actually execute any kind of script. So typically here I have written a shell script. I have written a shell script to execute, and it is a simple echo command. It can be any other commands based upon the kind of build that you are going to execute. So we it's out of scope of our session. Like so these particular instructions that we are going to build are specific to the project that you are building. So your GitHub may be any kind of project which can be written in any kind of language, right? So the steps that you are going to write as a part of build, as a part of test, are specific to your project, right? So that's what we can actually write as a part of each and every stage. So this is an example of a scripted pipeline which which is written in Jenkins. So that's what I just wanted to execute. So you can just execute this particular script. You can create a pipeline project in the Jenkins, and you can execute this particular script uh, as a part of the CI/CD pipelines. Okay. Now let's hope that our build is over. No, it's not yet over. Okay, today also it's taking a lot of time. Okay, so this is about the scripts, right? So scripted pipeline. Now we can actually we can also write a declarative pipeline. So there is like scripted pipeline, declarative pipeline. Um, sorry. So this is the declarative pipeline. So we can write a declarative pipeline, this which looks like this, or we can write a scripted pipeline also. So Jenkins, so that scripted pipeline is like old way of doing things, where we can actually write the a scripted pipeline using language, Groovy language. Okay. So I think nowadays the easiest and fastest way people actually prefer to do is like a declarative pipeline. You so which can be done as a part of a syntax which is visible to you. So this kind of syntax generally people actually do to perform the regular CI/CD pipeline specific tasks. Okay. Now now coming to other things that I wanted to cover in Jenkins, we can actually cover in Jenkins are are like how we can actually, I said you like last session, we can actually create a EBS instance. We can actually create a EBS instance. We can the steps here mentioned are pretty much clear and straightforward. So nothing is missing as per my knowledge. So they are pretty straightforward. You just need to follow these steps. So in the previous session, if you remember, we have done deployment in the Elastic Beanstalk using Travis CI. Now we are following the same deployment of our code in AWS Elastic Beanstalk instance using Jenkins pipeline. So the steps are pretty much clear. So please go through these steps one by one. Please go through steps. You all, I think we have already discussed all these steps a little bit. By looking into these steps, you will be feeling comfortable that I have already done these steps before. Okay, so just follow these steps and you should be able to deploy a typical build which is in your GitHub repo into AWS uh, EBS instance, Elastic Beanstalk instance. Okay, so just follow these steps, and these steps are like 43 steps of them. You just need to follow these steps. Okay, so once you do these steps, our Jenkins session should be complete. Next. Let's wait for this to happen. It's take a long time. Okay. So once this installation is done, we'll just have a quick overview of how to install Blue Ocean plugin, and we'll quickly do a GitHub integration with a repository and perform a build so that we are comfortable with the Jenkins pipeline creation practically. So we can actually, from there we can pick up, we can do our own projects, pipeline projects. So at least like one pipeline project we should be able to build seamlessly. Then other projects should be very easy to go. Okay. Um, so just keep in mind that when you actually create a, which I'll discuss later also. So when you actually create a GitHub repository, build a GitHub repository. So basically, GitHub repository or can be of two types. Right? One is like the private repository. It can be private repository or it can be public repository. So the public repository doesn't need any kind of credentials to be mapped in. So it can be seamlessly integrated very without any credentials. But if it is a private repository, you need to provide some authentication. There are different ways of providing authentication. And the best way of providing authentication, a very straightforward way of providing authentication is via personal access token. Okay. So you can actually create, I have already mentioned you, like how do you create a personal access token? But for the sake of uh, reminding the steps again, I can actually quickly go through the steps for you. So if you remember, like personal access, you have to go to your GitHub repository here, and you go to the settings. Go to the settings, and here in the developer settings, in the bottom, there is a section called personal access token. So you can create your own personal access token by generate new token button. So by this you can actually create your personal access token, right? I think you remember the steps again now, right? So just create the token. Maybe like I'll just say my token, and I want to give whatever permissions I want. I based upon the necessity, I'll just give few permissions. So I want to send email. Generate token, and you go. So you have this personal access token. Always remember this personal access token. Keep it, remember this, and next time when you actually want to integrate a private repository in GitHub, this will be helpful. So basically, when if your private repository is of type HTTP, is you have to append this particular token in the GitHub URL. I will just give you an example of how to do that. Uh, for example, I will remember this token, and I'll remember this token somewhere. Now let me go to the GitHub. Now I have to go to the GitHub. I can just okay. Suppose this is the Python project that you are going to use in your Jenkins, right? So the steps that you need to follow is like copy this particular URL. So you have your HTTP URL, right? So once you have this URL, the URL should be modified to some little bit extent, like copy this URL and the token is here. So your URL should something look like token at the rate github.com. Okay, you have to add this URL. So it is not the straightforward github.com. You have to say token at the rate github.com. So if you say token at the rate github.com, then even if it is a private repository, uh, the Jenkins should be able to authenticate automatically. Okay, so that's how you actually do authentication. That's one of the way of doing authentication. Okay, so for example, if I want to create a freestyle repo, right? This is my personal Jenkins dashboard. Our demo dashboard is a little bit slow. It is still trying to build, install. It is still trying to install all the plugins, recommended plugins. It is taking some time. So I am using my personal dashboard, Jenkins dashboard. I am saying my custom pipeline. So once I create a, once I create a custom pipeline, I can create a freestyle project. I can create a pipeline project. So I'll create a pipeline project. I'll create okay. Okay, so you have this pipeline project, right? Now you can actually build using SCM. It's a typically GitHub project. You can just copy this particular project GitHub URL, and you have to type the personal access token here. This is one of the way of authenticating using personal access token. You can just mention that URL, and in the build triggers, last session we also discussed, right? Similarly, you have to open GitHub trigger like this, GitHub trigger, and you say that the you have to mention that the pipeline is belonging to pipeline script from SCM. So there in SCM you have to mention the type Git, and in the type and URL you have to mention by typing the same URL. Okay. So once you have already given the pipeline credentials here, right? You have given the credentials here. So you did not explicitly mention the credentials again here. It can be none. So if it is not successful, it will definitely give you an unsuccessful results immediately. For example, I will do some typo error here. For example, I'll say Python nweb. So you can see that it is not able to connect to the GitHub repository because I have given a wrong URL, right? Only if you it is able to if you are giving the correct URL, and if the credentials are correct, then only it will pass. Okay, now it is passing, right? So this way you actually mention the pipeline script URL. So here you are mentioning that it will actually build it to master, and the script file path you can actually say this. You can actually change to any particular file, but this particular file should be there uh, in the GitHub repository. Okay, so this Python web app should have that file. Jenkins file or Jenkins. So these files only you can actually queue. So you can queue Jenkins file, or you can actually queue Jenkins also. Jenkins, and then you can just say apply. Okay, and save. Now you can build for the first time. You can see that the build is successful now, right? The build is successful. So this is how actually you build the Jenkins pipeline, and the Jenkins pipeline can be automatically started for every push. For every push also you can actually so whenever you do a GitHub push, automatically it will get the build will get started automatically. Okay, so let me see if okay, so our dashboard is ready. It is asking for the first username password. I am again entering the username password. Okay, so if you remember, we have something, we have to set up the hooks, right? For now, because I have set up a new Jenkins dashboard now, it has a completely new URL. So this is the new URL. So I have to go ahead and I have to reset the webhooks. So always remember that webhooks are should be updated with the appropriate Jenkins URL, right? So this is the new Jenkins URL, which starting with 13.234.38.90.800. So this is the new GitHub URL I have started with. I have to update it. Once I update this, so my Python project should be ready. Now, now I will just follow the same steps which I have followed here. So I just need to configure my new Jenkins. I will create a new pipeline project. I'll say new pipeline project. I'm just doing the steps again in the new machine that I have created. Okay, in my pipeline, I will just create a new pipeline. I'll say okay. I'm trying to do it very quickly. Okay. Okay, so for the in this machine also, I remember I haven't installed Git. So I have to go ahead and install Git here. So how do you do that? So to install Git is pretty straightforward. You just need to yum install Git. So let me connect to that machine back again. Let me connect to the machine. It should be pretty straightforward. So it takes some time to actually connect back. So because I haven't used this terminal, it got timed out. It will again reconnect back. Mm, okay, okay, it will take some time. So meanwhile, okay, so now I'll connect back to the machine. Now connected, right? And then I say install git silently. -y means silent. So it will try to install git now. Okay, so git is getting installed. Mhm. Okay, so git got installed. You can just verify with, I think I can just type git, or maybe I can type version also. Okay, so Git is there. It complains the version is don't know. It doesn't know version. Or I can say, okay, I have to type Git dash dash version. Now Git is installed successfully. You can verify that. And once Git is installed, you can start your own pipeline. You created a new pipeline called my pipeline. Now you can mention the GitHub project URL. This is the project URL. Remember, I have used personal access token way of authenticating my GitHub. Now GitHub hook trigger. I have already configured my webhook in GitHub, so I will use this particular GitHub hook trigger for Git SEM polling. Okay, and then I will select the SEM. Select the SEM. Let's say I will select the SEM as Git, and I will again mention the GitHub URL. So if the URL is correct, so the warning error, everything is gone away, right? So that means that it is able to connect to Git. And I say master, and this is a Jenkins file. I can use only Jenkins because I saw that I also have Jenkins file also there. Right here I have two files. I have Jenkins file. Both are there. I can use any one of them. For now, I will use Jenkins only. It is pretty straightforward, very simple pipeline steps. So I will use only Jenkins. Only Jenkins. I'll say apply, save, and at least build for the first time. And build should be successful, right? Okay, so the build is successful. I think I followed the steps successfully. Now let me do what I did last time uh, by doing a push. So I'll try to push it. So just push it. I'll I'll do a test push now. See, I did a test push and it got executed now. The second build automatically got started, right? So I did a push on GitHub and it successfully executed a job 2. The job 2 executed. You can verify that. Once you go to the particular job specific console, you can see that who has actually triggered. So go into the console output. So here you can see that uh, the GitHub, it was started by because of the GitHub push vanilla, but it was not manually built, but it was actually automatically triggered build by GitHub push. Just let's do uh, this again. Okay, so now if I actually I will not execute the build again. I'll just execute via GitHub push. I will do some again another GitHub push here. Probably I just remove this test, and I'm doing going to push. I'm doing a test push again. Okay, I'm going to commit the Git. So once I do that, here third job should run actually. Yeah. So the third job got started. You can see that here, right, in the top bottom left, the third job got started and it will execute successfully. Now the third job has executed successfully, right? So this is a simple demo of how to actually hook GitHub repository with Jenkins. These are the simple steps and it works seamlessly. So if you remember the last session, we were not able to successfully do that because at least for the first time, we should be able to do a successful build like there because last time there were some wrong errors, red colors were there in the stages, right? So if always remember if there is any error in the build for the first time, then somehow Git push will not be effective. It will not work. So at least for the first time, you should be able to build all the stages successfully. And only if you are able to do the successful build for the first time, Jenkins will automatically start building from the next time. Whenever there is a good push, it will automatically start building. Okay, so that was actually missing the last session. Okay, now let's quickly go through the Blue Ocean, what we have discussed in the last session saying that Blue Ocean is a very powerful tool for UI purpose, right? Now you have seen this is the classic view, and nothing so much. So if you want to see if you want to see the build, you have to click on many times. You have to go to the console output here. Then you can see what are all the logs that happened, right? So instead of that, you can for using Blue Ocean, you just need to install Blue Ocean. So Blue Ocean, you just type in available, go to the available tabs and just type Blue Ocean. So you have the Blue Ocean here. Now this is the first result that comes, right? That's Blue Ocean. Now click on it and install without restart, and you're good to go. So Blue Ocean installs a lot of things. So let all these steps happen. After this, all this installation of all the Blue Ocean specific plugin libraries are installed, then you can just restart the Jenkins. Then from the next time, the UI will be having the features to have a rich experience of Blue Ocean. Okay, let's wait for the installation to complete. Okay, so we get it right. So I think we are all are experts in Jenkins now. Okay, so we can do lot of stuffs in using Jenkins, as now we are comfortable with all the fundamental things which are required for creating a Jenkins jobs, right? So we have covered a lot of things in Jenkins, and I think if you just go through iterate through all these things, you can comfortably say that I can build any kind of Jenkins jobs. So Um, so, so we have also covered few steps where sometimes the UI may be looking different and you may feel nervous saying that, okay, this is not Jenkins. So that's not the case. That may be Blue Ocean. So that may be just a plugin of Jenkins where they might have changed the UI, right? The look and feel they may have changed. But internally, the core fundamental steps to create a pipeline and all those things are actually same. Okay, the UI, the flow of creating pipeline, they may be looking different for different industries because of the installation of the plugin. As you can see now, right? I'm installing Blue Ocean, the UI will completely change now. So let this installation complete, and then I'll show you how the UI has completely changed, how the pipelines creation steps are also changed. Previously, how we have created the pipeline. Now, after installing Blue Ocean, how the pipelines are changed. You can explicitly see that. Okay, it is taking some time. Okay, so after this, we'll quickly move to Ansible today. Okay, so let's move to Ansible. I'll try to open Ansible slides. Where are we? Yeah, so we are in topic number 15, Ansible. This is Ansible. Do we have an Ansible repo? Okay, so fine. So we will quickly start with Ansible. So last session we have already introduced about what is Ansible, right? Ansible is a configuration management tool, which essentially is used to deploy softwares automatically without any manual intervention. So that is a basic idea of Ansible. So basic idea of Ansible is to be able to configure your production or your developer machines or your test machines automatically using scripts. Uh, Whether your machines are outnumbered, they are in hundreds or whether in thousands, you can just run your Ansible scripts there and deploy in all the hundreds and thousands of machines with a single command. So that's the basic idea of Ansible. Always remember that is the main purpose of Ansible. So anybody asks you like what is Ansible, don't get much if you don't have much amount of technical definition knowledge, right? Always remember this in mind. Basically, it is as simple as like whatever you do manually, whatever you deploy manually in a particular machine, whether it is any kind of operating system, whether it is Windows operating system, whether it is CentOS, whether it is Linux, Debian, Mac machines. So all those things you can just install whatever softwares you want. Whatever softwares you want to install, you can do it via Ansible. Okay, so so basic idea is like write the script to install a software once and use it as many times as possible. So that is the basic fundamental idea behind the Ansible. So Ansible is such a powerful tool. It has such a powerful ecosystem that it can pretty much do anything with when it comes to deployment, when it comes to installation, it can pretty much do almost everything what you do manually. So everything, whatever you do manually can be converted into automation scripts using Ansible. And the power of Ansible is it supports all kind of operating systems, and it is basically a agentless software. So that means like you need not have any kind of agent to be able to running on that particular machine where you want to deploy. Okay, so you have your own laptop where Ansible installed. You just need to connect to that machine where you want to deploy the software, and you're done. So that is the main powerful feature of Ansible. Okay, so we'll go through these steps one by one. Let Parallel, let's see how it is going with respect to Blue Ocean deployment. Here, let's see. Okay, so Blue Ocean deployment is done. I will try to restart the Jenkins. Okay, so I am restarting the Jenkins. After restarting Jenkins, you should be able to see Blue Ocean UI. Blue Ocean switch button will be there. On click on that particular button, you can switch from classic view to Blue Ocean view. Okay, okay. Okay, I hope you are comfortable with right now. Like we are almost done with Jenkins. I just wanted to show a Blue Ocean view right now. How did we install this Blue Ocean and so on. And after that, Jenkins will be done. So let me know if you have any doubts on Jenkins, then we can discuss on it. Okay, so we are back to Jenkins. We are logging in here in Jenkins. So now you see in the left navigation bar, we have a button open Blue Ocean, right? So that's what is the switch that happens in so from the classic view to the blue ocean view. You click on this blue ocean, then you see the magic. This is a new view, right? This is a new blue ocean view. So whatever pipelines that were created before, it will also be visible here, and that's it. So you go to the pipeline, you can see the list of all projects, all the jobs that were run. So you remember these are the Git pushes that I have done just few minutes before. Test push again. You can see that here, and you can see all the stages of the pipeline. The build stage, test stage, deploy stage, release stage. All the stages are there here. So and specific stage specific logs you can see here like this. So our logs, haven't much amount of scripts there. We have a echo commands which are displaying start testing, deploy, start deploying, and so on, right? So this is the Blue Ocean view. You can actually look into this. Okay, so it is pretty much user friendly. Because of this, many people are preferring to use Blue Ocean plugin in their Jenkins dashboard. Okay, so you can actually rerun the jobs by just clicking it here. You can switch back to the classic view if you are comfortable. If you want to go back to classic view, click on this particular button and you come back to your world view. All right, so now we are comfortable with Jenkins and what are the different plugins and how did we install Blue Ocean, right? Cool, cool. So awesome. So let's close Jenkins for now. So we have shown the pipeline creation. We have executed GitHub and we have actually implemented Blue Ocean as a demo for today, and that's enough for now. If on need basis, we can come back if we have enough ample amount of time. Now let's move to Ansible now. Okay, okay. So Ansible. So what is Ansible? Ansible, we know that is a powerful deployment tool. which we can automate any kind of deployment using Ansible. So Ansible is being used in uh, as many industries. A lot of industries are using Ansible, including Microsoft, IBM, Google, everyone is using Ansible. Ansible is basically built on Python language. Okay, so the entire tool, Ansible tool, is written on Python. Is written on Python. Okay, so for that purpose only, you can see that for installation of Python, you need to have Python. In installation of Ansible, you need to have Python. So that's by installing Python. Ansible is also pretty straightforward. The steps to install Ansible, at least here, we have already given the steps. You can look into the slides. So this is the basic preliminary step to install Ansible. Before that, you have to go through what are the prerequisites to install Ansible. Okay. Um, okay. Now, so what are you going to cover as a part of Ansible, right? So we at the end of the slide we need to know, like we need to be experts in Ansible, right? So basic idea of Ansible we know, but what makes you feel like you are an expert in Ansible? I can do anything with Ansible, right? So what we need to know, what are the basic things that we need to know to make us comfortable saying that now we are experts in Ansible, right? So what we need to know is exactly these things. Okay, these things are very much required, pretty much required. And once you know each and every uh, points mentioned here, then you are an expert in Ansible. So you should be able to install Ansible. What are the prerequisites to actually install Ansible? This one you need to learn as a basic fundamental thing. Once you are able to install Ansible, once you are comfortable installing Ansible, then what are the different features of Ansible? Okay, so these are the basic main features in Ansible. Inventory management is a very important feature in Ansible. Ad hoc commands. Ad hoc commands are one another very important quick way of executing Ansible commands. Okay, ad hoc commands is one of the important feature of Ansible. Okay, then playbook. So what is playbook? We need to learn what is playbook in Ansible, and configured management in Ansible. How we can actually how is Ansible being configured by different ways, right? What are different ways of configuration? What is the default of configuration? How can you do custom configuration? So this that you can actually learn as a part of configuration management in Ansible. Okay, so next comes roles. Roles are also like very important concept in Ansible. We need to learn about what is roles. We'll go through all these steps one by one. Okay, and Ansible wallets, and there is one small. This is about just learning about how we can install. It's a exercise of installing some K8 clusters in Ansible. So once you cover all these topics, right, you are expert in Ansible. You can feel comfortable saying that I know I can install anything using Ansible, right? So try to understand each and every point step by step, right? So first we'll go through how do we install Ansible, what are the prerequisites for Ansible, and how can we install Ansible. First we'll go through that, and then we'll go through inventory management, ad hoc cloud command, and playbooks and configuration management, roles, and Ansible wallet. Okay, so we'll go through all these points one by one. Okay, just keep this mind. So always keep these high headings in mind, and then we will dig deeper and deeper. We will do practicals on each and every step one by one. Okay, now yeah, so we already discussed what is Ansible. It's a lot of theory. Yep, why it is used in industry is. It is very highly efficient and so on. So we know that Ansible is very efficient, highly efficient, and it is widely used in the industry. It is highly powerful, heavily powerful, and pretty much simple. It is agentless. So we know this. That's why Ansible is a topic now. That's why we are discussing Ansible, right? So we'll just jump into practicals. We'll just jump into practicals. How do we install Ansible? Okay. Okay. So before jumping into Ansible, we need to know some of the terms in Ansible, right? So these are the terms basically used in Ansible. So playbooks, tasks, actions, facts, hosts, groups, handlers. I don't want to have do a big lecturer or lecture on what are the different terms, what are the different things that we can do in Ansible, because uh, it actually is already recorded in video. If you can actually jump there. We will try to cover as much as is possible, as much important things as possible, which we need to actually really memorize, right? So just try to remember all these terms, right? So try to remember all these terms. These are the common terminologies which are used in Ansible. Like I'll go through them, give a small definition of each of the things, and that should be enough for you to actually remember uh, what they are. Okay, playbook. Let's come to playbook. So basically, playbook in Ansible is nothing but a a scripted file. So it's a basically YML file. I hope you know what is a YML file. So assuming that what is a YML file, so basically, playbooks are nothing but a YML files. Depending upon the scope of project, it can be complicated YML file or simple YML file. So at the end of the day, playbook is a YML file. Playbooks are set of YML files which are used to execute a particular deployment script in Ansible, or to perform a set of tasks in uh, using Ansible, right? So they are YML files. In the YML files, there can be different tasks, and each and every task can have multiple actions. So that's where comes the tasks and actions. Okay. So once you open a playbook is a YML file. Remember that it's a YML file. Okay. So once you open that YML file, you have different tasks, and each and every task has actions. So that is all about tasks and actions inside the YML file. Only they will be able to see tasks and actions, and each and every task has a purpose. It performs one particular set of actions, right? So it can actually do a installation of a typical software, or it can actually do a typical copy. It can execute a simple command, terminal command. It can do make dir commands, or you can just do remove dir, or it can copy files from your host machine to the Ansible, from the Ansible host to the remote machine, and so on. Right? So they are called tasks and actions. Facts. What are facts? So basically, facts is about like imagine that what are all the properties, what are all the configurations of a remote machine where you are trying to deploy your Ansible deployments, right? So before deploying your software in a typical remote machine, you actually do something called gather facts. You gather information about that machine. Okay, so that is what facts about, right? Facts is like what information facts you can just simply say that it is information about that remote machine. Okay, so you gather as a part of Ansible scripts. First of all, you gather the facts. By default, when you actually execute any Ansible playbook, it actually has the property gather facts. Gather facts is equal to true. It always has gather facts is equal to yes. That means that by default, it will try to gather as much as information from the remote machine for the purpose of executing, to see what kind of operating system it is, what are the different environment variables it has, what is the directory structure it has, what softwares it already has installed, whether I need to install the software again or not. So if I have already installed the software there, shall I install it again? So you can make a decision upon that, right? So before make those decisions, you need to gather the facts about that particular machine. So that's about the facts. Okay. Okay. Now, what are hosts? What is a host? So basically, host, Ansible uses a predefined logical way of arranging all the remote machines in a understandable way. So, like you can imagine, Ansible can actually work on thousands and thousands of machines. It can hundreds and thousands of machines. It has a way to deploy hundreds and thousands of machines. Typically in production, people just run Ansible command and over hundreds of machines, right? So uh, in typical production machines or in typical those machines can be of different types, right? So those types you can actually logically group them together, and the way you group them are done via hosts. So the host, by defining a file called hosts, depending on final call host, you can actually group all the machines. Suppose you want to say that, okay, these all are all machines 1 to 10 are all belonging to production machines, and these machines all are belonging to developer machines, and these machines are all belonging to test machines. Like that, if you want to group them. So hosts actually has a way of defining grouping them into different kind of machines. There another way of categorizing the machines can be like I want to group according to the region, right? I want to deploy all US region at one, US East region, US West region, US North, US South, India, Asia Pacific, like so different regions. You can actually club all the missions based upon them on their region, right? That's where you can actually also group the missions. Another way of grouping the missions can be based upon their functionalities. Suppose you want to group all the machines which are having databases only, like only Postgres databases machines, or if you want to have only those machines which are front end, for example, React based applications, React based machine front end machines only, or if you want to have like you want to group some machines which are only Windows machines only, so which have only IIS servers installed. So you can group them uh, as like these are all Windows machines. So that way you can actually mention using hosts, using the term hosts. Okay, so hosts and grouping of those machines comes together. Okay, hosts and groups are the common terms to address this kind of features. Okay, next are handlers. Handlers are something interesting, which are not task. They are not tasks, but they are executed on some specific purpose. Like there is a pattern called notify handler pattern. Whenever something happens and you notify, then only a specific task executes. That is called handler. When handlers gets executed only when there is some notify happens. So that is what handler is. Okay, and ad hoc we already discussed, right? Ad hoc is something like ad hoc commands, Ansible ad hoc commands, as I have mentioned in the top. Here here I already introduced what is a ad hoc command. So always remember what is a ad hoc command. For simplicity, you can just remember that ad hoc command is a single line of command which can be executed in hundreds of machines. So if you want to execute the same command in hundreds of machines, you just use ad hoc command. Okay. Suppose, for example, you want to copy one particular file into 100 machines. You can do that using a single one line ad hoc command. So to execute, so you just execute one particular line of command and it will execute in all the hundreds of machines. So that is the main purpose of ad hoc command. Okay, so this is actually introduction about Ansible. Um, so that is pretty much about Ansible that we are going to cover in the next upcoming upcoming part of the session. Okay, so similarly there are few other terminologies. Okay, so this is basically theory of Ansible. Um, So now we will take a short break for 10 minutes and try to see what we can cover uh, more about Ansible, right? So our primary goal in our Ansible topic is to actually cover as much as possible in the given this list. This is our agenda, right? We'll try to cover as much as possible in the upcoming parts of upcoming session. Okay, so we'll try to cover all these things and we should actually feel comfortable about Ansible practically. Okay, we'll take a 10 minutes break and come back at 9:30. Okay. Okay, thank you.